The Instructor podcast with Terry Cook, talking with leaders, innovators, experts and game changers about what drives them.
Welcome to the Instructor podcast. This is a show that helps you become an even more awesome driving instructor and run a better business. As always, I am your jolly northern host, Terry Cook. I'm delighted to be here, but even more delighted that you have chosen to listen, because we are back with a very special bonus episode for you today. Because if you've been listening to the show for a while, you will know that whenever I come across something that excites me, something that I find really interesting, then I will get them on the show to talk about that thing. And we are here today to talk about a brand new national driving school that is putting the emphasis on supporting its instructors. And this really caught my attention for a reason that you'll find out in the episode. But I am joined today by Phil, Cowley and Diana Todd, who have launched this driving school. And it's a fascinating conversation listening to them and their insights, with one or two surprises thrown in as well. And it's normally at this point of the show when I ask you to go and click subscribe or check out the Instructor Podcast Premium or something like that. Instead, today, I am going to ask you to go and check out the Facebook page for this driving school, which you can find a link for in the show notes, or you can go and search for the page itself, Supporting Driving Instructors. And go with that, give that a like and a follow, and if you're feeling extra generous, a share. But for now, let's get stuck into the episode. So we are now joined by Phil Cowley and Diana Todd, and we are here to talk about the brand new National Driving School. I won't say what it's called yet, I'll let you tell us, Phil. Let's come to you first. First of all, what is it called, and why did you decide to start a National Driving School?
So it's called Support Driving School, and we'll get to why as we go through the podcast. Why did I decide to start a national driving school? Because it's January and I do crazy stuff in January. So no, I think there is an element here of, and I've heard you talk about this before, when if you see a problem or an issue or something that you don't like within the industry, you can sit there and you can whine about it and you can moan and be upset about it and do your best to maybe support people within that. And I've done that. I've done the moan about the national driving schools not supporting their PDIs and ADIs enough. And I've supported a lot of their PDIs and ADIs individually. For me, I wanted to do more. And this is my way of doing more, is starting a school that does support their PDIs and ADIs in many ways, and we'll dig into the ways as possible. But there was a second sort of kind of string to wanting to go national. And again, I think actually, Terry, you inspired this you were talking about how, well, actually, I think I'd thought with the idea before, and then this was like, yeah, that makes sense. So you were talking about how as instructors, you do make a difference to your learners. And if you can change one learner a few dials along the sort of kind of dial of road safety and make them a little bit safer on the road, you're making a difference to road safety. And I think that's fantastic. And I agree. And I think absolutely, as we're out there as driving instructors, that's what should be in our mindset at all times, is can I move that dial for this learner? But I wanted to be bigger than that. I wanted to make more of a difference on the road. And in my mind, this school, by supporting them through all the ways that we're going to support our ADIs and PDIs, is we're hopefully going to create an army of driving instructors out there delivering top quality driving lessons, which then will have a bigger effect on road safety. Because if you've got one instructor making a difference, that's going to have a small effect on road safety. If you've got 100 instructors making a difference on the road, that's however many pupils every year going on the road with the right attitude and the right mentality and been taught the right way, that's going to have an effect on road safety. So that was my main reasons.
I mean, just before we move on, I want to touch back on the point there of that phrase, an army of driving instructors delivering road safety, because I know you've spoke to me about that before, and I just can imagine there being instructors listening now. They're going, well, I deliver road safety. Do you think that we need to do more? Is that it? It's an army of driving delivering more road safety, going above what is commonplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything we do in the car should be road safety, and it is for a lot of instructors, 100%. I think it probably is for all instructors to a certain extent. So, absolutely, I think we should do more, and we should be having more conversations about their post-test driving, more conversations about their behavior post-test, and things that are going to affect their driving after the test, and decisions they're going to be making after the test, and creating drivers who have the knowledge to make good, safe decisions, or at least understand those decisions. So, yeah, I think we could do more. But I also think that I can't necessarily influence all those drivers and what they do in their lessons because they're not part of my driving school. I can by offering training and putting out videos and doing podcasts, and absolutely we can make an influence in there. But I think actually having a driving school, and I very much want this driving school to have an ethos and have a culture within the school of one, instructors always wanting to improve and always wanting to get better at their job. But I think that people who have that attitude, and people who listen to this podcast, to be honest, because they're listening because they want to improve, they also then instill that into their learners, because that's also part of what we need to do for road safety, is instill that into our learners, that they, when they pass their test, that I hate the phrase like you start learning after you pass your test, but you carry on learning after you pass your test and you carry on getting better. And I think if you've got that growth mindset, you're going to hopefully push that onto your learners as well.
Well, you work with Diana under the Inspire Instructor Training banner and decided to launch it together rather than just you. I know the initial inclination was from you, but you decided to do that together as a pair. So, Diana, what are your thoughts around this National Driving School? What's your thinking behind it? Is it similar to Phil? Anything you want to add on?
He bullies me most days, so I think, I just went along with it. No, I'm joking. I'm messing. No, to be honest with you, I think what I have seen with Phil is that he he's great at visualizing what success looks like in the industry. And when I say success, I don't mean our own individual success. I mean success in changing the way that the industry is. I like the fact that when we were having a conversation about it, we were talking about changing people's mindsets, almost celebrating the fact that, yes, our learners want to drive and pass their tests, but they also want to stay alive after it. And what I liked, and this is always kind of been ingrained in my training, my teaching, my supportive driving instructors and learners. But what I especially liked with Phil is he doesn't do things in small doses. I was quite happy, Todd's driver training. I didn't really sort of think bigger picture, if I'm honest. And he has this ability to, it's almost infectious, in the nicest possible way, where he projects his vision so succinctly, probably better than I'm doing now, so well and so passionately. You think, why the hell wouldn't I want to be part of that? Like it was just really nice. This is probably the nicest I've ever been to him, actually. But it really is, to be fair. But that's true. I came off this call. I added this call with Phil. And in fact, when we were having that conversation, I was like, oh, I'll help you. I'll train any of the instructors that are up here. And he was like, no, no, I want you to be a part of it. I don't just want you like training people. I want you to like help support people. And I was like, oh, yeah, I actually really want that too. And came off the call and spoke to my husband. I was like, I think we're setting up a national driving school. He's like, what? What now? What's happening? And he's like, oh, it's January. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so I think what I'm trying to say is the vision was too good for me not to be a part of it, because actually we're not We're not the type of people to sit and bump our gums about the things we don't like. We just crack on and do what we can with what we've got. So why can't what we've got be bigger and better for everybody?
Phil, Diana says you don't do things by halves, and she's right, because you've decided actually to do this by thirds, because you have taken on another secret person. So who have you asked to join you, and why?
Well, it's the most handsome man in the industry. So yeah, we asked Terry to join us. This came about when we were creating our list of mentors, and we'll get on to our mentors later. But we got to Terry on that list, and I looked at it and I was like, Terry needs to be part of this, because I, I I would describe myself as probably the biggest fan of the Instructor podcast, and I've said this before, and I'll fight anyone who argues. Um, but I think part of that is because we are similar in a lot of our values, and so when looking at doing this national driving school, like I've already said when I described it, I was inspired by things that you had said, and I thought Terry as part of this is just going to make it better. And you already have, actually, just in conversations that we've had already. So that's already been proven to be a good decision. We have a similar ethos on business. We have a similar ethos on how we would want to treat our instructors and treat our learners. We have a similar ethos on road safety and making things happen, like you've made this instructor podcast happen. So I think, yeah, for me, it was a no-brainer. And actually, again, when I said to Diana about it, you didn't blink an eye. It was like, yeah, that makes sense. So it's, yeah, I think we are aligned, and it makes sense that we do this together. And I think it'll be bigger and better because of that.
I remember coming on the first season of the Inspire podcast and saying at the end of there that if you don't like the way the industry is, then change it. If you don't like the associations, and start your own association. I remember you almost shut me down a little bit and saying, you don't have to go that far. But you're like, no, I don't like national driving schools running, so I'm going to start my own. But no, I was chuffed to be asked, and well, I'll be honest, it kind of have to battle my own ego a little bit, because one of my goals that I'd set for this year, for 2025, was to evolve TC Drive, which is my little driving school, college driving school. It was just me, but it was to evolve that. It was to take on other instructors. It was to branch out more into the theory. It was, I had this whole thing mapped out. So then when you guys come along, one of my mental blocks was, oh, I'm not going to be doing it all alone. I'll have to share credit. Oh, all this kind of stuff. So there was a real ego thing there for me, but I'm open enough and honest enough to admit that. But when I step back, it's like, what's going to be better? Three people who have the same vision, or two people have the same vision. One person over here has got the same vision, but competing against each other. And that doesn't mean that TC Drive is going away. I still have my own little driving school over here in the corner, but it's this support driving school. I was chuffed to be asked. I'm chuffed to be on board. I love the vision behind it. I love the conversation we've had. I love the people we've got on board already, which we'll come back to in a moment. But I'm going to come to you, Diane, now, because I want to ask you about the name. I want to ask you about the name of support. I genuinely can't remember how that came about. So where did that come from? And also, do you want to lead on to the mentors a bit? I think Phil touched on there. So do you want to lead on to what we're doing with the mentors and how that might make us a little bit different?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest challenges that the industry has had, especially for schools that want to grow bigger and better, is how do you stay connected with what's going on day to day in the driving lessons in the little town? I don't know, let's say in Newton Abbot, for example, or in the Wirral, or in Leeds. But I think that for us, it was really important that every person within our driving school felt support. Now, that can be support the way they want it. If they are the type of person that likes to check in sporadically, then that can be for them. If it's the type of person that would like to have regular one-to-ones, then we have that for them too. If the learners want to have a little bit more hands-on approach with the parents and what have you, we can do that. So I think it is multifaceted, which was one of the reasons. we come up with that name. And we were brainstorming quite a few names, actually. I think it was your suggestion initially with the name support, Terry. I'm pretty sure it was you that came up with that. So that was good because it does exactly what it says on the tin. And that's what we're hoping to achieve. And the way that we want to do that is it's not going to be the Phil, Terry and Diana show. It's going to be a collection of trusted mentors, people that we respect within the industry that have thrown themselves into CPD. They've developed their own skills. They have excellent rapport building and people that are genuinely caring and kind. And we've got these lovely, well-placed people throughout the whole of the UK, which is so exciting, considering it's like 8th of February. And they're going to help us steer this. They're going to help us support the instructors, the learners. They're going to be the person that checks in and has a cup of tea with them. They're going to be the person that proactively sort of make sure that everybody feels still connected. And our core values is very much aligned with growth. So they themselves are going to grow their own core skills and develop their own skills. This is a new direction for them as well, or for most of them. And I think what's been lacking, or certainly our experience has been lacking, is that sense of community. So it's one of our other core values where we want to create little micro communities that feed into a greater community. And I think actually in our own, when we look at our individual contributions towards the industry, we've all been community focused already. And these people absolutely carry that ethos. And yeah, I think that's how we plan on making sure that our core values still stay aligned the more we develop the school.
Must admit, I'm slightly embarrassed because just before we started recording today, I was talking about how awesome my memory is for conversation. You told me that I come up with this name and I cannot remember that, genuinely, but I do love it, so it makes sense. But no, I think it epitomizes so when you come and pitch this school to me and I asked you to tell me about it and tell me why and all this stuff, the word that you kept saying over and over again was support.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a conversation, I think it was me and you, Phil, actually, we had a conversation around my training and how I used to get a phone call from Red Driving School every week. I trained with Red and every week they would ring me and I loved this chat. And it went on for like 5 or 6 weeks and then they were like, do you still want it? I'm like, no, I think I'm all right, let's move it to fortnightly. And I think I moved it to monthly and then I just stopped. But I loved that. It was having someone to touch base with. Now, I don't think there's enough of that out there. I really don't, especially in the national driving schools. I think it's more prominent in local schools. So that's why I love this idea, that idea of support. But you also kind of spoke about the mentors there. You came to me with this list of potential mentors, and I'm just like ticking them all. Like, yep, yep, yep. Now, admittedly, I don't know them all that well, so there's a few that I didn't know. But what I think I've got a good eye for, and not just with instructor stuff, but we all throughout my career and my life almost is spotting potential. I think I've always been good at spotting potential. That's what I'm seeing in this and in these people. But what's also pleasing me is we're now maxed out on mentors. We've got to have this conversation and say, right, we're done now because we need to now start putting other things in place. So, Phil, I want to come to you for this. Do you want to tell us a bit about how we're going to support the mentors and how we're going to support anyone that comes on along on a franchise?
Yeah, and I think actually this is probably one of the key things, that the reasons why we put the mentors in place and wanted that to be, and I've described it when I was talking to the mentors, as they're going to be the core of the business in a way, because I think it's really easy to go out there and say, the big schools don't support you, we will. So easy to say that. It's a great little marketing tool and people might believe you. But actually what I wanted to do when we suggested the mentor idea was go, no, this is how we're going to do it. Like, we put our money where our mouth is, and quite literally, actually. So it's we wanted to kind of go, like, prove that there's going to be a system in place to go from like Diana was saying, from learner to us. There's always a step there that they're getting supported. So how they do that? Well, first of all, we're going to be supporting the mentors by training them. We're going to deliver a train the trainer course for them to make sure they're up to standard and, again, feel supported. They will be on regular Zooms with us so that they feel like they've got the information they need, because we wouldn't want anyone sort of kind of wanting to put the wrong information out or not sure about information. I think they should always have someone they can go to check in on information, but also so that if they have a PDI who is struggling, that PDI can ask that question. And if the mentor doesn't necessarily know the answer, then they can come to us, and we can, if we don't know the answer, we'll find someone who does. It's like, I think sometimes it can get lost in the training in the industry. And I've been to see lots of PDIs who've been given the wrong information by a trainer. And I don't blame that trainer, because I'm sure they are doing their best for that PDI, but maybe they don't have the person to go to. And I think it's having that thing in place that if you don't know, ask. And we can kind of have that system all the way up to us, but also, like, we don't know everything, but we know people who know stuff. So that's kind of why we want that to filter down all the way through to the learners. Anybody joining the franchise, so how are we supporting you guys? Because that's like that's going to be the sort of kind of the go-to, isn't it? Like, feeling supported, you're going to be enjoying your job, therefore you're going to be delivering great lessons. So they will be weekly Zoom meetings that you can attend if you want to. They're not compulsory, but again, it's there for you to jump in if you want to, and you need some questions again, or actually if you just want to have a chat and just natter about a driving test you had this week, or you've got this pupil who can't do this or something, you just want to have a chat about it. Like, you know what it's like when instructors get around at a test center. It's probably have a similar vibe. We're also going to be going out to meet with the mentors individually, and therefore the PDIs that they're supporting or ADIs that they're supporting. So it's going to be face to face as well, because that's better. Basically, it's all nice and it's all good being sort of kind of part of these Zoom communities. And I think Zoom has been fantastic for our industry and allow people to connect. But there's nothing beats sort of kind of like popping in for a cup of tea and having a chat. How else are we supporting them? So how else are we supporting them?
So we're developing a train the trainer course as well, so that they feel, I'm just stepping in here if that's okay. We're developing a train the trainer course, but we will also ask them to deliver a minimum of a training course for their little mentees as well. And of course, we're going to help them with that. So again, it's asking them to do something, but that's all part of the growth aspect of our community. So they are going to be given that opportunity to grow as well. We are going to pop in their car once a year and, watch one of their lessons, making sure that the standards that they are striving for are what we do want to filter down. And of course, we're there to help them. But you know what I really like? I like the fact that we're not tying anybody in. I like the fact that we are saying we are going to do such a good job of this. You're not going to want to leave us. And see, if you do, that's okay. We'll help. I just think that is where we put our support badge, if you like. And to top it all off, we pay them. All of our mentors are getting paid to develop themselves, paid to be part of this fantastic community of change. Oh, I like that, community of change. And I think we've also got weekly meetings. We will have rotated mentor meetings as well. So, Tenny will do a week, I'll do a week, Phil will do a week, and then we'll have a trio. And plus the franchisees will have their weekly meetings. So there's so many opportunities there, because I think as well, you don't know what you don't know. And that's where the community comes in, and where that conversation piece comes in as well.
I recently went to cinema to see the film Better Man. In fact, I'm off to see it again tomorrow. I don't know if you've seen it, but warning to anyone, I bawled my eyes out from minute 3 to the time it finished, right? It was ridiculous. But I won't spoil anything, but there's a scene in there from when Robbie Williams performed his old 40 songs, did the production on, I think it was on the BBC, and he got his dad up to sing with him. Now, they didn't show this in the film, but on the actual thing that he watched, his dad messed up when he was singing. And Robbie just went, it's not just me that does it then. And Robbie took over and carried on. And I don't know, but that just reminded me of that then, guys. Phil,
Oh,
Phil went off piste a little bit and Diana came and saved him. But that's, to me, that's something I said during the meeting we had with the mentors recently, that we will mess up from time to time. All right, that won't mess up, but you get my point.
yeah.
The thing I like about there being 3 of us, so we're at, all 3 of us are half decent. We can fill in and for each of us weaknesses. So I think that's valid. But one thing you both mentioned there that I'm genuinely excited about is the face-to-face element as well. The fact that I'm going to go and meet the mentors and the franchisees. And I think I just want to hammer home a little bit here the difference. So if you are listening to this and you're thinking, do you know what? I want this support. I want to come under this driving school banner. You come and join us as a franchisee. You're getting your own mentor straight away. And that mentor is limited to a certain number of franchisees. So they're only going to take on board what they can manage and they will look after you. They will provide you with training. We will then provide you with training. We will also look after you. There's all kinds of cool stuff. We've got events planned for you. We've got stuff tied in around the expo, all this kind of cool stuff. So if you come on as a franchisee, you will be looked after in a way that I believe, and I can't prove this, but it's probably better than anyone else is on a national level. Just to chuck that out there, there's some local schools doing fantastic jobs, isn't there, Phil? But the so yeah, I think that if you come on, you're just going to get looked after. Now, if you're not coming on, but maybe you're training training PDIs or you're training ADIs, but you don't want that to come on part of your franchise, you can send them this way as well. We'll take on anyone that's half decent. And on that note, I want to talk about who we will and who we won't take. So I'm going to start with who we won't take, and I'll let you guys take who we will take, because I don't want anyone coming to us as a mentor, as a franchisee, that doesn't really care about their own development. I don't want anyone coming here that thinks just teaching someone to brake is enough to go down the road safety route. I don't want anyone coming here that doesn't want to use other resources, such as the honest truth. Now, this is all stuff that's going to be incorporated and chucked at you when you come anyway. You'll have all these resources. We're not going to mandate use every single one, because there might be some that will be not perfect for everyone, which is completely fine. But we don't want people who aren't willing to embrace change. We want to provide you with resources that you then use the bulk of. So if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to improve, then this isn't the place for you. But I've said who we don't want. I'll let you guys tell us, everyone, who we do want.
So what you touched on there was one of the first criteria for the mentors, which was like that growth mindset. So 100%, like, this school is going to be full of driving instructors who want to grow and want to improve, want to deliver that road safety. What I do think as well, and we've talked about this before, is everyone's on a different part of their journey. So I think when you're new to the role, or if you're a PDI looking for something different, we don't expect you to be out there delivering like the same lessons as maybe somebody who's been doing it 10 years and has got that far in their driving instructor career. But we want you to have that mindset to want to get there, and then we will support you to get there. That's the key. Is what we don't want. And I know I said I said before the podcast that you're really good at saying what we don't want, and now I'm doing the same. It's that people who want to just turn up, do your job, go home, don't care. Just like, I'll do a lesson. Like, we want people who want to care about those people's and push those people forward. So yeah, I suppose that's who we do want, is the ones that care. Basically, we want instructors who want to be the best, want to change the industry.
And I think build up other people. I think that's so important to us, that, we want to see somebody reach down and help someone, that sort of helping, nurturing attitude where, we're not competing. against each other. We are changing. We're helping. And I think I love it. I love already the little community that we've created where, and I don't want to single anybody out, but there's already been little messages of support in this mentorship, the mentor group, and like offers of advice, and I just, and that's what we want. That's what we hopefully want to create is somebody that cares enough to want to develop themselves and others.
I want to touch on a couple of other things here. So, first of all, I just want to mention the mentors again that you mentioned there, the ones you've got already, because they are awesome. We've had plenty of conversations with these guys. We had a big group Zoom the other day, and just the enthusiasm behind these guys. I wish I was a PDI coincidence industry now. I wish that I had this, and that's no disrespect to anyone that I worked with in the past, but it's like this is different. This feels a bit special to me. I would love to come into this little group here, and we are maxed out with that. We just are. We couldn't have any more mentors at the moment, not at least until we build up the franchises, because we're at the very start. This is the exciting thing. We're at this position now. This only gets bigger. This only gets better. And I think that aspect of it is really exciting. So, there will come a point where we need to hire new mentors. And we're going to go into the franchisees first. So if you've got any ambitions to evolve and move forward, you want to come on as a franchisee now, because we're going to get first dibs on those before we look outside for promotion, if you like, for lack of a better word. But I think the other thing I just want to touch on here is that the other thing exciting me, which is that there's been other driving schools, other national driving schools that have already been announced this year. I'm not going to name them because I'll forget one or two, and then I'll feel bad because I've missed them, and it'll feel like I'm singling out. But there have been others, and I'm loving the people behind them. So even if we look just at ourselves for a second at support driving school, we can never be the only national school. We couldn't have like this massive monopoly. But I think it's awesome that there's like 3 or 4 now that we're not going to join together, but there's 3 or 4 that were almost competing against the other national schools. And that's exciting for me because we want to do things properly. We're prioritizing people over profit. And one of the things that I said, or that we've spoke about actually, was why don't other big driving schools do this? And if we're being honest, when we looked at the numbers, we found out because, oh crap, that's going to cost us a bit. But we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's not about, it's not just humanly possible. It's about people over profit. And that kind of aspect is exciting me. And I know that the other schools, again, I won't mention them, but taking that approach as well. So I just think this is why I'm excited for 2025 for instructors. I think there's just some really awesome stuff coming out there. So is there anything else you guys want to mention to touch on to that?
I wanted to sort of kind of add, you mentioned that mentor meeting that we had, like a nice group meeting together. And it was really interesting, that meeting, because that, like, we've talked as we've gone through this podcast that originally this was like my sort of kind of dream to go to this sort of kind of big national school. Spoke to Diana, obviously she was coming in, thought like, Terry, yep, you need to come in as well. And so, but at that point it was still just an idea. It was just like, this is an idea, let's do this, let's go change the industry. And we haven't done it yet, to be fair. So we need to go, but we need to go improve ourselves and go and actually implement this. But then when have we ever not said, like, done what we said we're going to do? But actually that meeting was really interesting for me because I thought the mentors were going to be like, yeah, okay, it's a nice idea, I like it, yeah, we'll come up with, yeah, we'll probably join you, that like sort of quite muted sort of kind of idea. But the response we got back was, no, I want to be part of this. Like, this is different. This is going to make a difference to the industry. This is my, like, how I want to be in the industry. And it was very much like they were on board, like fully on board, like, let's go change the industry together. And that was amazing because I think it was the proof in the pudding that what we're talking about doing does matter and will make a difference. And now we just got to go and do it.
Oh, I like that we're all still doing the job. We're all driving instructors. We're all teaching learners. We have the similar stories. We can And it's real life examples. It's not, and this isn't a slight, just situations arise, don't they? And it takes you away from whatever you're doing day to day. And I totally understand that. But I love the fact that we're still teaching learners. I love the fact that a big part of our community is people sitting in the back of my lessons and going, well, what did you do that for, Diana? I was like, well, let me share with you this. And sometimes I don't get it right. And I put literally put myself in that hot seat, if you know what I mean. But because the job is tough. It's a wonderful job. It's a fabulous job, but it's a tough job. And we're still doing it. And do you know what I really love is when we all spoke, we all talked about how we were all still going to be like teaching learners and still being involved in that process. You know, we were never, never, ever going to be hands off. The community starts from us. And I really, really enjoyed that.
The other thing, like, we are driving instructors, but you kind of touched it there. We're also human driving instructors. You know, we make mistakes. We're human. I made several this week,
Yeah.
but I think that it's one of the things that I've particularly embraced over the last 12 months is owning that and talking about that publicly. And it's why I do the stuff like the Friday Fails on the Facebook group. And I recently started the F Word podcast that I do around failure. And I embrace that. And I think that if we share as fails as much as we share as wins, that helps people as well. You know, we learn from positive and negative, but I just want to give like a final, I don't know, a final point, if you like. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, I'd love to be a mentor, I'd love to be supporting, other instructors within the support driving school, great. You may well be welcome at some point because we will hopefully need to grow that at some point. But as I said before, we're maxed out. But if you are thinking how else you can be involved, you can join the franchise. That franchise is going to be open. All the stuff that we've spoke about today, plus more stuff that we've missed, stuff that we haven't said. We will have other ways to support you as well. It is very new. So if you want to reach us, if you want to contact us, it's a very simple way. You can go to the Facebook page, Supporting Driving Instructors, and you can just message us through there. Or you know how to find me. You know how to find Phil and Diana. You can reach us individually through there. It doesn't matter who you get to. Go to Phil or Diana. They'll reply to you quicker than me. But either way, I didn't say that. But you can reach out and you can have a chat. There is no forceful here. There's no hard sell or anything like that. It's if you are thinking you want a bit more support, you're welcome to come along and join. I think the last thing I want to touch on is something Diana mentioned earlier about not holding people to a contract for years and stuff like that. Yes, 100%. That's something I'm passionate about. You won't be beholden to us for years. Give us a bit of notice. Don't just, I'm quitting tomorrow. But we will also help you develop your business. It's a franchise. The idea of a franchise is that you grow that franchise. You run your business, that element of that business. So yes, we will provide you with learners, but we're not talking about that because, of course, we're going to send you learners. I'm not going to give you a number because numbers change. But we will help you with that business. So if at any point you go, do you know what, I do want to leave, for whatever reason, you'll be in a better position to leave because you'll have more ideas of how to run that when you do. But also, as Diana said, we want to be good enough so you don't. So that's a little challenge for us. And if everyone decides to leave, then we've made a big mistake somewhere. So yeah, just a little call to action there. If you've got any interest at all in becoming a mentor, let us know. We can put you on a shortlist. But we are going to be picking from the franchisees that come along first. So my final little call there, is there anything you guys want to finish on? Excellent. So both shaking the head there, which is
I just want to finish with let's go do this.
A lot more polite than what I said. but yeah, big thank you for joining me today, guys. I love this project. Thank you for inviting me onto it. I think it's going to be awesome. I think we'll make a success of it. Not quite 100% sure what that definition of success is yet, but I think we'll make a success of it. I think the journey is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be fun. And yeah, big thank you for inviting me along. And thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
The Instructor Podcast with Terry Cook. Talking with leaders, innovators, experts and game changers about what drives them.